Hello and welcome to Disney Movie Investigation. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. Each week we take a look at a movie that is featured on Disney Plus, take a look at how the movie got made, some interesting trivia about the movie, as well as what happened after the movie. So this week we are taking a look at a series of videos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we look at the Avengers movies. Our first stop will be the 2012 action thriller, The Avengers. We will look at the long journey to get the movie to the silver screen, as well as we will look at why the movie was so successful. Also, stay tuned as we explore the Marvel characters inside the theme parks, and we will take a look at Marvel Superhero Island at Islands of Adventure at Universal Studios, Florida. We will take a look at what guests can expect when they visit the themed land, as well as what the theme park means to Disney. And if you are enjoying these videos, I do ask that you please hit that subscribe button. That way you will be notified each time a video is added to the site. But for now, sit back and enjoy this week's episode of Disney Movie Investigation. So like I said, we are covering the 2012 movie, The Avengers. But I thought I'd just take us back and give us a little background on the Avengers in the comics. So in 1960, DC Comics published a comic series called The Justice League that featured a team of superheroes. Martin Goodman of Marvel Comics asked Stan Lee to create a similar comic for Marvel. The Avengers was a team of pre-existing superheroes that were created by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. The first issue of The Avengers debuted in September 1963, and the original Avengers were Ant-Man, the Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and the Wasp. The issue number 4, though, saw the revival and return of Captain America. In the comics, it has been a popular title for Marvel, and throughout the history have included many other superheroes, including Spider-Man, Black Panther, Vision, and Captain Marvel. In terms of the Avenger movie, it was released on May 4th, 2012, and it was directed and the screenplay by Joss Whedon. The budget was $220 million with a box office return of $1.519 billion.
Amazing!
So very successful. So the development of the film began in 2003 with Marvel CEO Avid Arad announcing the development of the film in 2005. Marvel Studios had announced a partnership with Paramount Pictures to develop a series of films based on the secondary Marvel characters. The plan was to release the individual films on the main characters so the audience would be familiar with who they are, and then build up to an Avengers movie. The first film that was released as part of this plan was Iron Man, released in 2008, starring Robert Downey Jr. After the success of the film, Marvel announced that the Avengers film would be released in July of 2011. In September 2008, Marvel Studios and Paramount Pictures reached an agreement that would give them the distribution rights for 5 Marvel films. This included Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, and The Avengers, and one to be named later. March of 2009, the film was pushed back a year later to be released on May 4th, 2012. It was also announced that this would be the last film of Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In April in 2010, Joss Whedon was hired to direct and rework the original script that was submitted by Zach Penn. In October 2010, Disney reached an agreement to pay Paramount Pictures $115 million in order to obtain the distribution rights for Avengers and Iron Man 3. Paramount, as part of the deal, would also collect 8% of the box office receipts and receive marquee credit. In December 2011, Disney announced that the film would be converted to 3D, and then in 2010, at the San Diego Comic-Con International, a teaser trailer was released narrated by Samuel L. Jackson. At the D23 Expo in December 2011, fans got a sneak peek at the footage from the film, and then finally in 2011, New York Comic-Con featured more first-time seeing footage, and then to help promote the film, a video game and a partnership with Acura was created to promote the products in the film as well as to promote the movie before it came out. So now that we kind of know the history leading up to the film, let's take a look at the cast. So this is a pretty famous cast. We have Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man. We have Chris Evans as Steve Rogers / Captain America. Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, the Hulk. Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton, Hawkeye. Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and Clark Gregg as Agent Phil Coulson. So in terms of the plot, Nick Fury is the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., an international peacekeeping agency. The agency is a who's who of Marvel superheroes, with Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. When global security is threatened by Loki and his outer space army, Nick Fury and his team will need all of their powers to save the world from disaster, which is formed by Loki. So in terms of the movie itself, would I recommend this movie? Yes. I think this is a great movie with a great story. And each character has its own character development, which I think is really awesome, because it's not just action movie. Each character has a plot arc, which is great. I think the movie is well placed, and then the action scenes are very exciting as well, so it keeps the audience engaged. I think this as well. This is a great end to Phase 1, and it set things in motion for Phase 2. So overall, I definitely recommend this movie. So in terms of our bonus story, which is going to be Marvel Superhero Island, in terms of the development, Universal Studios was originally going to create a DC Superhero Island in its second theme park, which was originally called Cartoon Island. MCA Incorporated, the owner of Universal Studios at the time, and Warner Brothers then began negotiating for the theme park rights for DC Comics. Ultimately, the deal fell through, and the theme park rights to the DC characters went to Six Flags, as Warner Brothers and Universal could not agree on royalty payments. At this time, Marvel was in financial trouble and was selling the rights to the characters to several movie studios. Universal Studios acquired the theme park rights to the Marvel characters on March 22, 1994. The deal had an indefinite end date as long as unless Universal decides to close the land, stop making the royalty payments, or Marvel opts out of the contract for a reasonable explanation that Universal is mishandling their property. Construction began in 1997, with the land officially opening on March 27, 1999. So let's take a look at the land itself. In terms of attractions, the land has 4 different attractions, the most popular being The Amazing Adventure of Spider-Man, which is a motion-based simulator attraction that features Spider-Man taking on the Sinister Six. Guests put on 3D news glasses and follow Spider-Man as he does battle with some of his greatest villains. The next attraction is the Incredible Hulk Coaster. Guests enter the lab of Bruce Banner and go on a roller coaster ride centered around gamma radiation. Dr. Doom's Fearfall, a space shot ride that has guests testing out Dr. Doom's latest invention to use fear as a way to battle the Fantastic Four. And then finally, Storm Force Acceleration, a teacup theme ride based on Storm from X-Men. Riders ride in small teacups to power the acceleration in an effort to help Storm and Professor X defeat Magneto. In addition to rides, the land has 2 eating locations. Captain America's Diner and Cafe 4 are quick service restaurants, as well as guests can pose for pictures and get autographs with Marvel superheroes such as Captain America, Wolverine, Cyclops, Rogue, Storm, and Spider-Man. In 2002, during the Halloween Horror Nights, Marvel Superhero Island took part with a scare zone called Island Under Siege. Guests would enter where Spider-Man villain Carnage had taken over the island and killed most of the superheroes. A haunted house called Maximum Carnage was also featured, where guests would enter the lair of Carnage and pass by several Marvel superheroes dead in the house. Marvel was very upset with Universal because if kids had visited the haunted house and seen their favorite superheroes dead, they would stop buying the comics. Universal has never repeated a Marvel-themed Halloween event. So as we mentioned before, Disney has the rights to Marvel characters, but in terms of the theme park right, so as long as the land appears in good condition and working order, Universal has the exclusive rights to Marvel theme park characters. So also Universal Studios has exclusive rights to the characters east of the Mississippi. So Disney is allowed to use the Marvel characters that are not part of the superhero island, such as Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange. Disney has offered to buy out the contract from Universal, but Universal has declined several times because of the popularity of the Marvel movies. Universal is making a lot of money selling Marvel character merchandise, and they don't plan on giving up this revenue stream. So in terms of the land, I've been several times. I think it's a great themed land. The rides are excellent. The Spider-Man ride is one of the best rides I've ever ridden. It's awesome. The theming is really good. The merchandise is like, you can get exclusive merchandise there, which is awesome. And then the opportunity to take photos with the characters, I think, is really cool too. Do I see Universal giving it up? You never know. As soon as Disney has something that they're willing to give Universal, I'm sure Universal will make a deal. But I know Disney is chomping at the bit to kind of get, especially in Walt Disney World in Florida, they're hoping to eventually get their rights back so they can start using more of the Marvel characters in Florida. But yeah, so in terms, that's kind of our first step in the Marvel Avengers series. So thank you so much for joining us here on Disney Movie Investigation. And I would ask you in the comments, please, what do you think of the movie The Avengers? And if you've ever been to Marvel Superhero Island, what do you guys think? Do you like the land? Would you like to see Disney take it over? It'd be an interesting discussion to have. So moving on to our next video, we are going back to the movies featured on Disney Star, and we are going to take a look at the romantic comedy starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, 500 Days of Summer. So until then, we will see you guys on the next episode, and I hope you guys are having a great day. Bye-bye.